Welcome to the Matrix Green Pill podcast, where we dive into the journeys of inspiring individuals shaping the world around us. I'm your host, Hilmarie Hutchison, and today we have a remarkable guest whose entrepreneurial journey has taken him from Budapest to Dubai, revolutionizing the hospitality industry along the way. Gergely Szabo is the mastermind behind successful restaurant ventures like Bamba, Marha Burger Bar and Hopper Bistro, which has received Michelin recognition 4 years in a row. Now he's setting his sights on the Middle East with his latest venture, Zeora Hospitality. Gergely, welcome to the show and thank you for joining me today.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Your journey from organizing events to co-owning 13 restaurants is truly inspiring. Can you take us back to the beginning? What sparked your passion for hospitality?
So it all started when I was in high school. At that time, I was a little bit mad for these things for my family, but I was born and raised as per not getting any big gifts or not buying the newest phones. If you want a phone, here's a Nokia, it's working. It's fine for you. If you want something else, then you will have to work for it. And of course, when you are like 15, 16 years old or even younger, that's not a good thing. You go into the school, everyone has newer phones or anything like that. I wasn't happy. It just made me think about, okay, if I want this or that, I need to do something and I need to figure out something. And I remember I was like 12 or 13 years old. We had these lunch tickets in our high school. So I started doing business with it. Sometimes I even photocopied it. Sometimes I even make new ones from it to get some money and to get something from the buffet or whatever. Of course, when you're 12, you don't understand that it's maybe a little bit over the line, but that's how it started. And then when I became like 17, I had a lot of friends and other people were organizing parties in the city here in Budapest. And I was like, wait a second, what are they doing? They have a lot of friends, they inviting them, and then they earn money on the entrance fees. They are giving out some nice experience. Well, I have a lot of friends, so let's do something. Let's organize some parties. That I think I was at 11th grade, which is like 1 year before graduation here in Budapest. And that was the moment when we organized our first party. And I was like, okay, let's give it a go. I would do anything from it. There was no social media. So literally we were jumping in the car at midnight, going out through the city, printing out posters, putting posters in bus stops, putting out in different popular spots around the city to get some recognition and try to get more people. I even put out some posters in my own high school, which almost made me getting fired from the high school because obviously my teachers were not happy about it. But it all went great. And the first party was a great success. We earned quite a decent amount of money. As like a 17-year-old kid. Then I was like, okay, let's do this every month. And then 1 year later, it became serious that, okay, let's organize it. Let's set up a company. Let's make it more professional. Let's start to organizing different types of parties. So that's how we started and scaled up to, I think, the best year around 2012 when we held like more than 100 or 150 events throughout the year. So it was a really busy year, besides going to the university in the mornings and taking care of the parties in the afternoon. But always the long-term goal was, when we saw these events and this hospitality vibe, to be able to open our first co-owned bar or any kind of nightlife venue. So that was always the goal. And in 2013, that was the point where we managed to team up with our future partner, and we managed to open our first small bar in the city center of Budapest with the capacity of like 250 or 300 people. That's how we started the nightlife ventures. And in 2015, that was the point where we started Bamba Marha and leaned more over food-ish side of the hospitality industry.
Your passion for entrepreneurship and for creating opportunities started from a very young age, from a need to secure your own funds to buy the things you wanted as a teenager. Maybe not the best start when you're copying tickets, but to see a need and to see the opportunity of creating these parties. So they were held in just random locations. You were not renting space. You were just having random locations and moving around each time for the parties, or did you have one location that you would have it at?
No, so they were always in different locations. There were like 10, 15 really popular clubs in Budapest. And we picked the dates, either like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday sometimes, but Saturday is always the peak date. So it was really hard to convince clubs to basically give us a Saturday and be able to organize our parties. And from their end, losing the tickets and sales for Saturday night. They were always different, and we tried smaller ones, we tried bigger ones, we invited international DJs. We had great successes, we had really high punches and really bad events. So we have seen all from tops to bottoms, and I think we learned a lot throughout this journey.
During your time setting up the clubs and even the restaurants, what were some of the key lessons that you learned along the way?
One of the key lessons that I learned, that heads down and just do your job and do your thing. Don't look backward, don't look sidewards, just heads down and go in a straight line. Especially in a young age, it's easier to, how should I say, to absorb punches because you have a vision, I would say a really narrow tunnel vision that you want to achieve something. And no matter what happens or no matter what someone says, you are going on that line. And there are bad things happening, there are punches, there are things turning out the other way, there are people coming into your life who are maybe not with the right attitude. So there are a lot of good things and bad things happening as well. If you're clear and you just don't lose your hope and you're willing to work hard, just go for it and just do your job. I think what I've seen right now, especially like with the younger generation, like the 18 to 24, I would say these days, that they always want something really quick within like 1, 2 months. If it's not working or if it's not immediately making a lot of money, then it's not good. Then immediately jumping to the next things, and they are not consistent and they are not willing to put the hard work in it. Yes, for the first 1, 2, 3 years, if I look back now, I would say, yes, we had successes, but nowhere near the successes that we imagined. But we were just working and doing, and we saw the bigger picture. We were just like, okay, it's there. We will reach it no matter what happens. This is one really important thing, to just put your head down, work hard, take the hits and move on.
And I think sometimes as founders, visionaries, it's easy to look to the horizon, see the bigger picture. The risk of that is that you're not focusing on what's happening right in front of you. And you could be making a misstep because you are looking only to the future and rather putting your head down sometimes and focusing on what's happening here and now. I think that's a very good lesson that you learned. As you say, from running many businesses, this is one of the key takeaways that you've had. Is running a club a lot different to running a restaurant, the Bistro?
I would say yes and no as well. It's really similar in a lot of things, but it requires different approaches. I would say a little bit of different skills. I think one of the key elements within running a club, that you're basically doing your day-to-day background, I would say the background and operational job in the daytime. But meanwhile, you are doing this in the daytime, you still need to be there at nighttime and be an amazing host. It's basically there. You need to talk to people. You need to make friends. You need a lot of communications. You need to give them tables. You need to ask, you need to buy them drinks. I mean, invite them for drinks. So you really need to be there and you really need to be a good host. So they need to feel that they are welcome. They are taken care of it. On the other hand, it goes well and it's a must as well in the actual restaurant business, but not in this circumstance as per being present each and every day, not this effective way. I'm just thinking about how to say that there's a difference being present in the club and there's a difference getting this host attitude to the restaurant business. Meanwhile, I just forgot what was the last sentence.
In the club, people want you to be available. You need to be seen. You need to be interacting with them a lot more than when in the restaurant is not that important, if I'm understanding you correctly.
I would say from an owner's perspective, yes. Because in a club, I think it's extremely important to, even foreigners, even your friends, everybody should feel that somebody is taking care of them. And especially if the owner is there, they can skip the queue, they can arrange the table, they can do whatever they want at that specific night. Because our job there is to make sure that whoever comes there has an incredible evening. No matter if she had a bad day or he had a bad day, she is distressed, whatever. Our job is to make them leave with a really great experience. However, this is similar in the restaurants as well. But I think in a day-to-day operation in the restaurant, it's not the sole responsibility of the owner, and it's not having that much effect in the day-to-day operation as like in a club. If you lose this atmosphere in a club, really easily, a lot of people can turn around and go to the other club and say that, oh, there's more welcoming in this place. The host is nicer. The ambience is nicer. It's a little bit of a sheep horde effect. When a lot of people are leaving, the other ones are leaving as well. And meanwhile, in the restaurant, it's really important when you step into the restaurant, the waiter greets you, how the staff treats you, how the chef is taking care of the food. So each and every staff member, it's really important they focus on their job. You have a great experience, but that specific experience and how you need to deliver it, it's really different in a club and in a restaurant.
Let's shift gears a little bit now and let's talk about your bringing your brand to Dubai. What inspired you to expand into the Middle East market, and what has that experience been like for you?
I think everything started in 2021. It wasn't planned because we were thinking about, okay, we are having successes here in Budapest. Let's try to go out for the international market. We looked around and, Austria, Croatia, like neighboring countries. And we were planning to go to Vienna with the specific brand of the Bamba Marha. As per the recognitions were coming, it was growing really fast. We have been listed the fourth best burger in the world. We have something here in this space that's something unique, and maybe it will work outside of our country or outside of our city as well. But then COVID hit in. And I think it was the third time when they closed the borders in Hungary. They even restricted how you can go out from your apartment, and you were not allowed. Nothing was open. You were basically not allowed to do anything. We were doing the deliveries. We adapted with the business to this really specific situation, what had happened in the COVID. At the end of the day, after a while, there was not much to do from an owner's perspective, rather than just walking back and forth in my apartment, biting my nails and waiting for if our business will collapse or what will the future bring. There was the third closure of the city where I told my wife that, okay, let's pack everything within 2 days. Our friends were in Dubai. We have been there a few times just for sole holiday purposes. Let's leave the country. We are not coming back until it's reopened because I will fall into depression. So we jumped on a plane, got to Dubai. I think we spent 6 weeks here. The weather was great. Everything was open. You could go to restaurants, you could go to the gym. So it was really even a mental refreshness as well. So we were doing our regular job, and meanwhile, we had some more time to look around the city. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, this is really exciting. Dubai is becoming aiming to become the number one city right now in the 21st century. This is the big playground, especially for someone coming from a smaller market, a smaller Eastern European country. This is where the big numbers are. This is where the magic happens. Let's say it like this. And then I started to dive deeper into the industry and the numbers. And I was like, okay, let's forget Vienna. Let's focus on Dubai. Let's try our luck here.
Incredible. So you already had expansion on your mind, but then COVID hit and lots of things changed. So it was just fortuitous that you decided that when you didn't want to sit in your apartment anymore, that you wanted to be out and move and do something rather than just be impacted by the negativity during that period, that you came to Dubai. Fantastic. So in Dubai, what was the first thing you did once you got into the market? Was it your partnership that you opened in 2024, or did you do something before that?
Yes, so the first thing we stepped into Dubai, we were focusing on getting Bamba Marha, translating the Bamba Marha brand for an international version called Goofy Cow Burger, and trying to establish here in Dubai and possibly expanding all over the world, because always we have high hopes no matter what happens. Then I ended up coming to and relocating to Dubai, majority of my time relocating to Dubai and spending majority of my time in Dubai in 2021 September, where we started this journey to, okay, let's set up this Goofy Cow Burger, let's establish it, let's find the location, let's have a plan and just open it and go for it. And the first thing was to get, as per newcomer to the market, I was like, we need to find a great consulting company because we don't have knowledge from the city. What I had in the 6 weeks of experience and a few holidays, that's not enough. I want to understand the market. I want to understand everything from A to Z because it's a different word, different continent. I want somehow to shorten this time and make it quicker. So I thought that I would need some expert assistance in this. And I tried to search for different consulting companies, and we managed to pick one and try this journey together, which it didn't turn out really well. And that was one of the reasons we established Zeora Hospitality as well.
So by trying to bring your own business, trying to establish a new brand in the region, you identified that there was a different gap in the market that needed to be filled. And that is why then you started Zeora Hospitality. For our audience, can you explain what it is that Zeora Hospitality does?
At Zeora Hospitality, we provide A to Z services for new and existing businesses within the hospitality sector. Starting from the smallest thing, making an audit for like an existing restaurant where we just go out and check their operation, check their financials or whatever they need an audit on or help in, and just analyze their operations and how they are dealing with day-to-day business, throughout to the very other end where someone comes here and says that, hey guys, I have 5 million dirhams. I'm just saying a number. I really want an Italian restaurant. I don't have anything. Here's the money. Go for it. Do the brand, develop the outlook, develop everything from A to Z, get the fit out, get the operation, give me the keys, and then operate it as well. Between these two things, there are a lot of other different sectors and smaller services or smaller needs that we try to fulfill. It's depending on how and where is the position of either someone new to the market or either someone who has an existing business.
There was this gap that you have now been able to fill and provide services. We're not finding other people providing to the level that you are able to now.
I really don't want to judge any other players within this sector, and I really don't want to offend anyone in this space. But on one hand, from my personal experience, what I had with establishing our brand and the Goofy Cow Burger and all the challenges and all the approaches, what I've seen there, a lot of other experiences that people had who I met within the last 3.5 years in Dubai made me tell that there are a lot of companies within this consulting space, but I think how different companies and people approach different projects and different people, it's really weird sometimes. Somebody goes just for the money, somebody is not genuine, something is happening here or there. Without really diving deeper into this and really not trying to offend anyone, we felt like with my partner that there is a huge gap. So with my partner, we identified that there is a big gap on the attitude, and there is another way how this can be done and how people can be treated. And we really want to give a genuine and data-driven and success-based approach to this whole sector. If I should give you an example, I had a call 2-3 weeks ago with a guy. He explained to me his situation. There was an agent he was speaking to, wanted to buy an existing restaurant in Marina. He had life savings, and as well, he was retired from a company after 25 years of working there. He got some compensation, and basically putting these monies together, he wanted to buy and jump into the F&B sector. And long story short, I went out to the location, checked out the numbers, and something was really strange. The location wasn't good. The numbers were not adding up. Of course, the agent were selling dreams and selling magic to this guy. I called the guy back, had like a 45-minute long conversation. We didn't charge him anything. So we went out because we were curious on one hand, and on the other hand, this is how we approach different situations. And then we jumped in like for a 45-minute long conversation when I basically explained the guy, don't do it. When we hang up the phone, on one hand, I didn't earn any money. And I know a lot of companies would have gone for it and would have charged this client X amount of dirhams, started this project, maybe failing within 1 week or 1 month and not caring about them and just pocketing the money and letting the guy go. This is not our approach. And after hanging up the phone, I felt really great. Although we didn't make any business, we didn't earn any money, I've done something great. And I have saved someone making one of his biggest mistakes in life.
And he could have lost his life savings on a project that was doomed to fail.
This is one thing I don't like in Dubai. that you really need to be cautious with a lot of people, a lot of different agents and a lot of different companies, because everybody wants to try to be bigger and wants to make business. But there are a lot of crazy approaches and a lot of fishy stories. So you really need to be careful.
I love that story, and I think that story demonstrates why you are successful, because you are making decisions, advising people with your heart in the right place, really wanting to help people rather than just doing this to make a buck. And as you say, I think oftentimes people are just in it for the money, and whether the decision is the right one or the wrong one for you, they will send you down the path that makes them the most money. And imagine somebody who's worked his whole life with his retirement could have lost it all. Thank you for sharing that story. I appreciate that. How many restaurants are you running in Dubai now, in addition to running the consulting agency? Do you call it an agency or a firm?
So the actual thing what happened with Goofy is I'm not sure that I want to dive really deep into it, because on first hand, I don't want to offend consulting businesses, other ones, and I don't want to offend the investors who took part in this journey. But on one hand, it's a really interesting story because that's how we learned everything from Dubai market from A to Z.
You've gone through a lot of experiences since you've been in Dubai, running restaurants, opening the consulting firm. What have been some of the challenges that you face?
So first of all, trying to understand the market and realizing after months being into the business and doing what I've learned in the last 10, 15 years, that Dubai is really different. Of course, the core within the same industry is almost the same. The basic steps are almost the same. The market is extremely different. And not just because of the Dubai is a melting pot of different cultures and different nationalities, how people use the city, how people are doing their daily stuff, how convenient is the city, how it transformed the lifestyle of people, just purely understanding how 10 steps can break or make a restaurant, and people are willing to go up to the mezzanine level, or they are not willing to go up for that specific restaurant. So I would say I had to relearn a lot of things in the Dubai way, and we faced extreme challenges within not just the setting up, within just understanding even the fit outs, the constructions, and diving deeper into all the small details to be able to understand properly what is going on and making sure that you are treated in the best way, or nobody's fooling you, and checking everything together. So I would say that I don't even remember the last time when I worked this much as in the first year when I arrived to Dubai.
Even with all that experience, as you said, 13 years in Budapest, running different kinds of venues, restaurants, even so, a huge learning curve once you came into the Middle East market. And because you went through all those details, again, that would make your knowledge and understanding so valuable that when you are helping somebody else going through the process, you could save them a lot of the heartache and a lot of the mistakes that you also made.
We never stopped learning. Of course, the world is evolving as well, not just Dubai. The whole world is changing. And I think getting back to one of the questions earlier, like adapting always to the time and the actual happenings to the world and the actual market is a really key difference. Just taking back to the time to COVID and that situation, or pre-COVID times and post-COVID times, or how the economies are now around the world. So you really need to adapt with all different kind of businesses. And on the other hand, that's why we are always saying when clients are approaching Zeora that we are not hiding anything from our past. Of course, we showcase the successes. They can see the restaurants, they can see the awards and everything. But we also highlight that, yes, we had some pretty big punches. We had some pretty big downsides as well. But was it good? No. Was it effective for our life and for our future? Yes, because that's how we learned a lot of things. And we always tell them that we have seen the tops and bottoms. And that's why we can give you more feedbacks and more relevant informations and guidance throughout Zeora, because I have been in the top and I have been in the bottom as well. I'm happy to share it. If someone is afraid that we have some bad choices or bad decisions in the business, then it's up to them. But I think if you just sit down and think it through, you can understand why it's a great thing to have someone whose overall measurements are, of course, leaning to the positive side, and there are way more successes than unsuccesses. But I think you need to see both ends, because that's how you learn a lot of things. And to be honest with you, so I don't think if someone is taking a path, let's say at 16 or 18 years old, and leaning towards for becoming an entrepreneur, you have like 40, 45 years in your life, which is probably your active years. Someone is really active and passionate, he will do more and more stuff within this 40, 45 years. You will have punches and you will have big hits, but it's fine. You need to absorb it.
Yes, you must expect to make mistakes. Absolutely. You can't build a business without making mistakes. The secret is to learn from them, to grow from them. And as you say, to have more successes than failures at the end of the day, then you'll be successful. But the failures, that is just part of doing business. It's part of learning. And to have somebody to guide you through some of it, you can save some of the mistakes, but everyone, when they're running a business, they're going to make mistakes. I think that's just par for the course when you're running a business.
Absolutely.
Now, with all your experience, I want to ask you a question for the benefit of myself and our audience. What advice would you give to someone aspiring to become an entrepreneur, or for somebody looking to break into the hospitality industry in this region?
I have a few advices that I think it's key factors going into this industry. The first one, I would say that don't start without a clear financial and operational plan. Start with the numbers, start with the plans. Sit behind your laptop or computer and get it precisely on the Excel sheets and whatever you are using. And don't fool yourself. Don't put the numbers that you want to see, put the real numbers, and try to figure out and try to ask more relevant information and gather more relevant information to your future business. And put those numbers in, put the strategy together, because if it doesn't come out on paper, it will never work in real life. And I would highly advise anyone not to risk it. If the numbers are not good on the paper, there no magic will happen. That's number one.
I think that's excellent advice. Be realistic when creating your budget. Don't put on rose-colored glasses.
Even if you're putting hundreds of hours of work of market research and getting these proper numbers in it, my advice is just to lose those hours of work and realize that it's not going to work, rather than saying that, oh, I put so much time and effort on this. I will just make some cosmetics on my numbers. I have a great belief, yes, it will work. I will fool myself a little bit. Then you will put thousands of hours and fail even a bigger one and lose money, lose hope, and a lot of things. So don't fool yourself. That's number one. Number two, always important, know your numbers. Profit margins, food costs, labor costs, everything. It's not like a guessing game or anything like that, that it's maybe this number or that number. It can be higher, lower. The more precise the input, the more precise the output will be. That's really important again. Third one, I think your team is your biggest asset. Invest in them. You will never be successful alone. I think, again, it's something that you shouldn't fool yourself. Yes, you can be successful alone till a point, but to be able to grow and scale any kind of business, you will need a team. And you will need people who wants to be successful, and you need to make them successful as well. Because if they are successful, you will be more successful as well. So invest in the team. The team can make or break. That's, again, something really important. Try to be a great leader, which is, I think, one of the hardest skills. You can improve it, but you really need to understand that a lot of times I see people who are thinking about how my life is going, how am I approaching to different things, how am I doing my work. That's the zero line, the bottom line. And everyone should be like this. In reality, I think one of the key things to understand when you're building a team or growing a team or trying to maintain people for 5 to 10 years or so on, that you need to understand what they are after. Is it the money? Is it the family? Are they wanting more time here? Are they wanting more flexibility? This is their approach. Or they are taking another type of route. You don't want to push them, your vision, and you don't want to force them to take all the steps and all the, how should I say? So you don't want to force them to take all the steps what you are taking and do and work and act as per you are acting. And when you start to understand that, I'm saying in a funny way, that everyone has a different magic red button. What you are trying to understand, and you need to understand, what is this magic red button? If you push that button, they will perform great. 110% they will be happy and they will be out of this world. But that magic red button is different from each and every people. And once you understand it, then you will be a great leader. And I think one of the last and most important things, be ready for a grind. It's not a 9 to 5 business. First 1-2 years, it can be a hell. If it's needed, you need to be there. You need to be available. You need to jump. You need to act fast. You will have problems. You will have a lot of problems. I always say that one of the key differences between a successful business and an unsuccessful business is how quickly and how greatly you can react to problems, because problems will appear. And maybe it's the weekend, maybe it's nighttime, maybe it's Christmas, whatever. Up till a certain point in the business, you need to be there and no excuses. The life will give it back to you. Hours you put in, that will be the output as well. So you need to be ready to grind and put a lot of time and work and effort to your business. And then you can highly increase your rate or the chances of success.
What a long list of really, really good tips that you've shared. Be realistic, know your numbers. Your team is your biggest asset, so know what motivates them to be a good leader. Be ready for hard work and be willing to pivot quickly around problems. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
That in the team, it's not just about motivation. So this magic red button is yes, on one hand, this is motivation. On the other hand, it's just trying to understand how a specific person works and operates. And what I mean by that, it's either can be motivation, it's either how he's approaching the work, how he's treating his free time, his working. Is he performing the best in the office, outside the office? I have a great example for it. We have a financial leader here in Budapest who is a great guy. I love him, and he's been with us for, I think, right now for like 10 years. And within the first 7 to 8 years, he was always calling me up and, can I go for fishing on Thursday and Friday? Is it possible? And I always told her, and genuinely, he did this for like 50 times at least. And I always told him that, look, I don't care if you're doing fishing or wherever you are, you have your task, you know everything what you need to do. If you woke up on Friday and you work for 48 hours in a row, you finish everything by Sunday night, you need to be available at least on the phone on the weekdays. But I don't care if you're fishing, I don't care if you're skiing, it doesn't matter. If the job is done, the tasks are done, and it's good, you can do whatever you want, as long as everything is right. If you want to do it without fishing or without skiing, fine. If you do want to do it with skiing or fishing, that's fine as well. I really don't understand in 2025 companies that are pushing the office hours, the 9 to 5 jobs, the whatsoever. This is really weird for me. A lot of people is underperforming within these circumstances and this really old-fashioned model.
I love that. So that you are willing to adapt the requirements of the job based on the needs of the person rather than force them to work in a certain mold that you have set out. I think that's a really good approach to get the most out of people, and you not only do the best work, but they'll also be happy. And that's also why they stay 10 years. That's a sure sign that the way that you're approaching this is working, no doubt. Thank you again for sharing these tips and this insight. Very valuable. So I really appreciate that you've not just stuck to one tip, but you've given us many there. Now we've come to the segment of our show where I'll ask you some rapid fire questions, our version of a game show. Are you ready?
Yes.
Choose my first question based on what you've just said in the tips regarding team members. What is the most important quality or skill or thing that you look for when choosing a new team member?
I would say loyalty and learning. What I mean by learning, that I think it's far more important that somebody has a passion and willing to learn than having extremely great abilities by nature or by talent. Or I don't know how should I say this one. Because in the long-term game and to fit in the team, I think these are the key topics.
I think by somebody who's willing to learn shows the humility because they realize they don't know anything. I mean, they don't know everything.
Yeah, so who willing to learn and who is willing to adapt to the team and looking for his place in his team and his passion for growing the business and the team together, I think it's far more important than finding an exceptional talent who you just cannot fit in the team and who is bringing more negative effects to the existing team members and giving you hard times.
I love that. Yeah, we always say we hire for attitude because we can teach anything.
Yes, that's the right.
Now, you have run bars and restaurants all over the place. What is your go-to comfort food?
Sometimes I wake up and having the healthy mentality, then just healthy food, just a lot of gym and just precisely counting the macros and calories and everything. And on the other day, I can wake up and just comfort food and pizzas and burgers and quesadillas and all over the place, chocolate cakes and whatsoever. But if I had to choose them, I really like pizzas and burgers and quesadillas as my main comfort foods.
What is the best advice you've ever received?
Maybe it's not an advice, but I think it's a life quote, I should say. When I was 14 or 16, my dad specifically said that there is no play again button in life. I didn't understand when I was like 12 or 15 or 18. What is he talking about? I didn't understand properly. Now, coming 10, 15 years into the business, having a family, having a wife, having an amazing daughter, now I'm starting realizing what this actual really short sentence means. And I think maybe it's not an advice, but if you truly understand what these short words mean, you put your life and you put your everydays into a different perspective. You cannot play back what happened 3 seconds ago, 1 hour ago, 10 days ago, 1 week ago. Even if it's with your business, even if it's with your wife, even if it's with your daughter, nothing, your sports career, nothing. It can genuinely change your approach in every part of your life and every segment of your life if you understand this and try to implement.
That is very powerful. There is no replay button in life. I love it. Means every decision we make cannot be undone and it can impact lots of things, but you can't go back and change it. Once the words are said, once the action is taken, it's done. You can't go back and change it.
Yeah, you can regret it, but you cannot change it. And I think we are young. Everyone is young, I would say. And it's still not late. And you cannot change. Even just look at your family, how much time you spend with your daughter, even just a breakfast, even just 5 minutes of drawing with her. In 10 years' time, you can regret it, but you cannot jump back. You cannot go back in time. And it can go to the business, to personal, to friends, everything. What you're willing to do now. Can you overlook your ego? Can you change something in your attitude? Whatever, just do it.
I love that. Really, really a good thing your dad taught you at that age. And as you say, only later on did you understand it, but a fantastic. I'm going to write that down and write that big somewhere. There's no replay button in life. How would you describe your leadership style?
If I should answer with one word, I would say caring. On one hand, I think it's really important. On the other hand, it can have negative effects for the team as well, moreover for yourself as well. But at the end of the day, you need to choose something. And I'm always trying to be a good person. And for the most important things, I'm always trying to aim that when I wake up in the morning and I go out to the bathroom and I look in the mirror, that's the point where you cannot lie. You look into the mirror, basically you are looking back to yourself. There is no lying there. And I always try to live my life and even lead the team and be a leader as per I can happily look into the mirror without any lying. And I can be proud of myself, of taking care about the team or the people around me.
I can hear that from the way you've spoken about your team, of the importance of your team, that they're your greatest asset. I can hear that you are a caring leader. It's better to be kind than to be right. So sometimes you let other people win because, as you say, you have to live with yourself at the end of the day. That's more important than winning.
So yes, that's why I said that sometimes it can have a negative effect. Sometimes you can be misled by other people. You can be betrayed by other people. And I've been there, done that, felt it. But again, I try to look in the mirror. As long as I'm good with it, that's fine. I can absorb it. I learn from it. I'm trying to not come out from my body or my soul. And even with the negative effects, I'm trying not to be a different person because of negative effects.
Well, thank you for playing along. That was the end of the game show. It was not too difficult. Now, I would like to ask you a signature question about your green pill moment. Could you share an inspiring or life-changing experience that you have gone through, your green pill moment?
Yes, I'm happy to share with you. It's not one of my proudest moments in my life, but I think it was a really important moment for me. And I really hope that some people who will be listening to this podcast can relate to it and can learn from it. So when I was like 21 years old, it was in 2013, my life wasn't going, I would say, in the best direction. Like these teen-ish dramas. I lost my girlfriend. Our business was not on the right track. We were struggling with the openings of the bar. It wasn't the success from day one that we wanted. The university was hard. I couldn't attend a lot of classes. They were nudging me that you should pick either you're working or either you're going to the uni. With my family, it wasn't easy. Coming from a background where my dad was a doctor and my mother was an architect, so didn't even understand what is the entrepreneurial life. What am I doing? Why am I not focusing on university? And a lot of things together added up. I wasn't in my best moment, and I made a mistake when at one of the nights around Christmas or after Christmas, I went out with my friends, and as usually this happens, that was the moment where I left alone. I was the last one basically who was leaving the club. All my friends went home. And for some reason, I thought that it's a good idea for me to go home with my car. So I walked to my car, I jumped into my car, I started my journey back home, and an accident happened. Luckily, no one was hurt. I hit some cones and a shop front in the center of Budapest, and it was like 6 a.m. in the morning, so nobody was around. The police came out, and of course, in Hungary, you have zero tolerance. So basically, I was detained. And then one day after another, I realized that I'm 21. I'm sitting in the back seat of a police car, going to the police station. And within 2 or 3 days, I'm in a trial for drunk driving, and I can face the consequences and whatsoever. And when I was there, sitting in the trial in front of the judge, that was a moment where I realized that what is happening? At 21, I'm sitting here. I'm being charged with like this drunk driving thing. Luckily, I didn't hit anyone. It could have been way worse. What is this? This is not me. This is not my life. And it was a moment where literally, I know it may sound an empty something, but literally my life changed 180 degrees. And that's where I was like, now I need to get everything together. I lost my driving license for more than 2 years. I had to do 120 hours of public work, which was extremely humiliating for me. The whole situation was extremely humiliating in front of my parents and basically everywhere. And from that point, everything like skyrocketed. It changed my mind. Our business started going in the right direction. My family life started going in the right direction. And basically everything changed. And I learned a lesson for the rest of my life. Where are the boundaries? How you should live your life and what can cause huge impacts on your life. And I know it's not a nice story and highly advise everyone not to drink and drive. But it was something when I see, even from today, when I look back to it, I always say that, yes, it was a nasty story, I should say, but it was really good for me because it really changed my life.
I so appreciate that you shared such a personal story with us because, as you say, there's a lot of lessons to learn from it. You certainly benefited in a way because you were able to reflect on where you were and then make the necessary changes. So a really good experience to show that even when we don't make the best decisions, that does not need to define us or where we go forward in the future. We can make mistakes, but then we can change things and then go on to create a very successful life, just as you have. So I really appreciate that you've shared that story today.
Yes, just learn from the mistakes. I think that's really important.
That's the message. Learn from our mistakes. I love that. Excellent. Gergely, it has been such a pleasure talking to you today, hearing about your incredible journey and all the things that you've accomplished so far. And I'm so sure you'll continue to do more exciting work going forward. Your passion for what you do for your team is truly inspiring. Well, thank you again for being here. It's been truly inspiring, and I will be following your journey for sure.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And it was really amazing to talk to you.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Matrix Green Pill podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review, please. Until next time, stay inspired and keep making an impact.
If you enjoy our conversations, please like and subscribe. See you next Wednesday.